The slave auction was loud and ugly. Hundreds of aliens pushed against each other in the dirty hall of Station Korath 9. The air smelled like metal and fear. Ambassador Doya stood near the back, her 4 eyes watching everything. She was a Velith, tall and thin with pale blue skin that shimmered under the station lights. She did not want to be here, but her job was to watch and report, and sometimes that meant seeing terrible things. The auctioneer was a fat creature with too many teeth. He called out numbers and prices like he was selling furniture. Most of the slaves were from weak species, small beings who could not fight back. They cried and shook as buyers raised their hands. Then they brought out the human girl. Doya felt her heart skip. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Most species avoided them. Earth was classified as a death world, a planet so dangerous that survival there was nearly impossible. The gravity was crushing. The air was thick with oxygen. The animals were monsters. And somehow, humans had not only survived but thrived. The girl was small. She looked young, maybe 19 years by Earth counting. Her black hair was cut short and messy. Her skin was pale with bruises on her arms and face. She wore simple gray clothes that hung loose on her thin body. 2 Gorvan guards walked beside her, their weapons ready. Even they looked nervous. The auction screen showed her information. Her name was Yuna. No family name. No home planet listed. And at the bottom, in red letters that made several buyers step back, were the words, Earth Origin minus Category 9 Hazard. The auctioneer cleared his throat. Lot 47. Female human. Good health despite appearance. Starting bid at 5,000 credits. Nobody moved. Doya understood why. Humans were dangerous. Even a small one like this could kill most species with bare hands. Their bones were dense. Their muscles were strong. They could survive wounds that would kill any other being. Buying a human slave was like buying a bomb that might explode at any moment. But Doya was not looking at the danger warning. She was looking at the girl's eyes. They were dark brown, almost black. And they were completely empty. Not sad, not angry, not scared. Just empty. Like someone had reached inside her and taken everything out. Doya had seen eyes like that before. On soldiers who had watched their friends die. On survivors of great disasters. On people who had lost everything and were still trying to understand why they were alive. She raised her bidding paddle. The auctioneer looked surprised. 5,000 to the Velith ambassador. Do I hear 6? Silence. 5,000 going once. Going twice. Sold. The transaction was quick. Credits transferred. Documents signed. The Gorvan guards pushed Yuna toward Doya like they were happy to be rid of her. Doya noticed that the girl did not resist. She did not even seem to notice what was happening. Come with me, Doya said gently. My shuttle is this way. Yuna followed without speaking. The shuttle was small but comfortable. Doya had filled it with soft cushions and warm lights. She wanted her guests to feel safe. But Yuna did not sit on the cushions. She went to the corner farthest from the door and pressed her back against the wall. She pulled her knees to her chest and wrapped her arms around them. Doya sat across from her and waited. The shuttle lifted off. Stars appeared in the viewport as they left the station behind. Still, Yuna did not speak. She barely moved. Her eyes stared at nothing. After 1 hour, Doya tried again. Are you hungry? I have food. Human food. I made sure to stock some before this trip. Nothing. You are not a slave anymore. I did not buy you to own you. I bought you because I could not leave you there. Do you understand? Yuna's eyes moved slightly. She was listening. I am taking you to Velith space. We have a place for humans there. A community. Others like you who found their way to our part of the galaxy. You will be safe. You can build a new life. For a long moment, there was only the hum of the shuttle engines. Then Yuna spoke. Her voice was rough and quiet, like she had not used it in a long time. My brother. Doya leaned forward. Your brother? His name was Taiho. Yuna's fingers pressed hard against her knees. We were on a transport ship, going to a new colony. Raiders attacked. They killed everyone who fought back. Her jaw tightened. Taiho tried to protect me. They shot him. He died in my arms. Doya felt pain in her heart. I am so sorry. Don't be. Yuna's empty eyes finally showed something. A small spark of fire buried deep inside. I killed 6 of them before they stopped me. 6 raiders. With my hands. They had to use stun weapons to bring me down because I would not stop fighting. Doya did not know what to say. They thought I was broken after that, Yuna continued. They thought I gave up. That is why they put me in the auction. Because a broken human is less dangerous. She looked directly at Doya for the first time. I am not broken. I am waiting. Waiting for what? I do not know yet. Yuna turned back to the viewport. The stars reflected in her dark eyes. But when I find out, they will wish they had killed me too. The shuttle flew on through the darkness of space. Doya watched the human girl and felt something she had not expected. Not fear, not pity. Something closer to respect. Humans were not just dangerous because of their strength. They were dangerous because of what lived inside them. A fire that refused to die. A will that could not be crushed. Other species saw humans as monsters from a death world, but Doya was beginning to understand something different. Humans were not monsters. They were survivors. And the galaxy had not yet learned what that truly meant. She made a silent promise to herself. She would help this girl. Not because it was her duty. Not because she felt guilty. But because somewhere inside that shell of emptiness and pain, there was still a person worth saving. And maybe, just maybe, helping Yuna find her way would teach the galaxy something important about the strange creatures from Earth. The shuttle continued toward Velith space. Behind them, the slave station grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared among the stars. Ahead, the future waited, uncertain, dangerous. But for the first time since they took her brother, Yuna was not in chains. Whatever came next, she would face it on her own terms. The Velith homeworld was beautiful in ways Yuna had never imagined. Tall towers made of crystal reached toward the sky. Gardens floated in the air, held up by technology she did not understand. The sky was purple and orange, with 3 small moons visible even during the day. Everything was clean and quiet and peaceful. She hated it, not because it was ugly, because it was too perfect, too calm. Her brother was dead, and the universe kept moving like nothing had happened. Ships flew overhead. Aliens walked through markets buying food and clothes. Children played in parks. Life continued. Yuna could not make herself be part of it. The human quarter was in the eastern part of the capital city. About 200 humans lived there, rescued from various parts of the galaxy over the years. The Velith had given them homes and jobs and safety. Most of them seemed happy. Yuna was not most of them. For 3 days, she stayed in her small apartment. She ate when her body demanded it. She slept when exhaustion forced her eyes closed. The rest of the time, she sat by the window and watched the alien world outside. Ambassador Doya visited twice. Yuna thanked her for the rescue, but did not say much else. On the 4th day, someone new came. He was human. Young, maybe a year or 2 older than her. He had a friendly face with kind eyes and messy brown hair that stuck up in different directions. He walked into the common area where Yuna was sitting alone and dropped onto the bench beside her like they were old friends. You are the new one, he said. The silent girl. Everyone is talking about you. Yuna looked at him but did not respond. "My name is Yemen." He smiled. It was a warm smile, the kind that came from someone who had found peace after pain. "I have been here for 4 years. Got picked up by a Velith merchant ship after raiders destroyed my station. Lost my whole family in one day." That made Yuna look at him more carefully. "It gets easier," Yemen continued. His voice was gentle but honest. "Not better. The pain never really goes away, but it gets easier to carry. You learn how to walk with it instead of being crushed by it. I do not want it to be easier." The words came out before Yuna could stop them. "I want it to mean something." Yemen nodded slowly. He did not seem surprised or upset by her answer. "Then make it mean something. How?" He leaned back and looked up at the purple sky. "The Velith have an auxiliary defense corps. Humans who serve alongside their soldiers and peacekeepers. We are good at surviving, good at fighting, good at protecting people who cannot protect themselves." He looked back at her. "Most of us joined because we lost something. We cannot get back what we lost, but we can stop others from losing what they have." Yuna thought about this. She thought about Taiho, about how he had thrown himself between her and the raiders without hesitation. He had not been a fighter. He had wanted to be a teacher, but when it mattered, he had chosen to protect her. She could not save him. She could never bring him back. But maybe she could become someone he would have been proud of. "Show me," she said. Yemen's smile widened. "I was hoping you would say that." The training facility was on the edge of the city. It was large and modern, filled with equipment that Yuna had never seen before. Velith instructors moved between training groups, their long limbs graceful and quick. Alien soldiers of many species practiced combat drills and weapon handling. Yuna started at the bottom. Basic fitness tests. Simple exercises. The instructors did not expect much from her. She was small and thin and looked weak. They learned quickly how wrong they were. Earth's gravity was 1.4 times stronger than the Velith homeworld. Every step Yuna took on this planet felt light and easy. Her muscles, built for a heavier world, were stronger than they appeared. She ran faster than they expected. She lifted more than they thought possible. She kept going long after other trainees had collapsed from exhaustion. But it was in combat training that she truly stood out. The first sparring match was against a Velith soldier twice her size. He was confident, relaxed. He had years of experience and reach advantage. He expected an easy victory. Yuna dropped him in 4 seconds. She moved like water, fast and flowing and impossible to predict. Her strikes were precise and brutal. She found the weak points in his defense and exploited them without mercy. The Velith soldier hit the ground before he understood what had happened. The training room went silent. Yuna stood over her fallen opponent, breathing steadily. Her face showed nothing. No pride, no excitement, no satisfaction. She simply waited for the next challenge. The head instructor, an old Velith named Korath, reviewed the training recordings that night. He watched Yuna's matches over and over. She won every single one. She adapted to different opponents instantly. She learned new techniques after seeing them only once. "She is not training," he told Ambassador Doya in his report. "She is sharpening herself, like a blade being prepared for war." Doya read the report with worried eyes. "Is that dangerous? For her enemies?" "Extremely." Korath paused. "For herself? I do not know. There is something inside her that drives her forward. Something dark and heavy. She fights like someone who is already dead and has nothing left to lose." Doya visited Yuna that evening. She found the girl in the training yard, practicing alone in the moonlight. Her movements were beautiful and terrible at the same time. "You are pushing yourself too hard," Doya said. Yuna did not stop moving. not hard enough. Your instructors are impressed. They say you could be one of the best fighters they have ever trained. But they are also concerned. They say you do not seem to care about yourself, only about becoming stronger. Yuna finally stopped. She was breathing hard, sweat dripping down her face. I care about one thing. I want to be ready. Ready for what? I do not know yet. Yuna's eyes met Doya's. That spark of fire was still there, burning brighter now. But when the moment comes, I will not hesitate. I will not fail. I will not let anyone I care about die while I watch. Doya wanted to argue, wanted to tell her that revenge would not bring peace. That violence would not heal her wounds. But she saw the truth in Yuna's eyes. This was not about revenge. This was about control. Yuna had been powerless when Taiho died. She never wanted to feel that way again. Promise me something, Doya said quietly. What? When you find what you are looking for, when you face whatever enemy is waiting for you, promise me you will remember who you are. Not just a fighter. Not just a weapon. A person. A human being who deserves to live and find happiness. Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. I promise. It was not much, but it was something. Yemen watched from the doorway of the training yard. He had seen many broken people come through the human quarter over the years. Some healed. Some did not. Some became something new entirely. He did not know which path Yuna would take. But he knew one thing for certain: the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The message arrived on a cold morning. Ambassador Doya read it 3 times before she believed what it said. The Keth Dominion wanted to negotiate. The Keth were monsters. Everyone in the galaxy knew this. They controlled 40 star systems through fear and violence. Their warriors stood 3 meters tall, with 4 arms and scales like armor. They had never lost a war, because they never stopped fighting until their enemies were completely destroyed. Their leader was Supreme Warlord Gorath. He had united 12 warrior clans by killing anyone who opposed him. His name was spoken in whispers across 100 worlds. Children had nightmares about him. Soldiers prayed they would never face him in battle. And now he wanted to talk. It is a trap, said one of Doya's advisors during the emergency meeting. The Keth do not negotiate. They conquer. Perhaps, Doya replied. But refusing to meet would be seen as cowardice. Other species would lose faith in us. The consortium cannot afford to look weak. So we walk into their trap? We walk in prepared. Doya looked around the room. I need a security team. Our best soldiers. And I want human auxiliaries included. The room went quiet. Human auxiliaries were valuable, but they were also unpredictable. Sending them to face the Keth was like throwing fire at fire. Jamin was the first to volunteer. He was a senior auxiliary now, respected by both humans and Veleth. When he put his name forward, others followed. Yuna was among them. Dia called her to a private meeting the night before departure. The ambassador's office was warm and comfortable, but Yuna stood stiff and alert near the door. You know this could be dangerous, Doya said. Yes, you know you might not return. Yes, Doya studied her carefully. 2 years had passed since the auction. Yuna was no longer the broken girl from Station Korth 9. She had grown stronger, more focused, more deadly. But some things had not changed. The fire in her eyes still burned. Why do you want to go? Doya asked. The raiders who killed my brother. Yuna's voice was calm and flat. They flew Keth colors. I did some research. The Keth Dominion allows criminal fleets to operate in their territory as long as they share their profits. The raiders who attacked my transport were protected by Keth law. Doya felt her hearts grow heavy. She had hoped Yuna did not know this. I am not going for revenge, Una continued. I am going because I want to look at them. I want to see the empire that thinks human lives are worth less than profit. I want to understand what we are really facing. And if you get the chance for revenge? Una was silent for a moment. Then I will decide in that moment what kind of person I want to be. The summit took place on an old trading station in empty space between territories. Neutral ground. Neither side could claim advantage. But when the Keth warship arrived, it was clear who held the real power. The ship was massive, covered in weapons that could destroy moons. The Keth delegation walked into the negotiation chamber like they already owned it. Gorath was at the front. He was even bigger than the story said. His armor was made from the bones of enemies he had killed with his own hands. In his two front arms, he carried a legendary weapon called the Ravager's Spine. It was a long blade, black as night, forged in the volcanic fires of the Keth homeworld. Story said it had killed 10,000 warriors and never been broken. He looked at Ambassador Doya like she was already dead. Valeth, he rumbled. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. You waste my time with words. Words are for the weak. Words prevent unnecessary death, Doya replied. She kept her voice steady, even though her hands wanted to shake. Surely even the mighty Keth can see value in peaceful solutions. Gorath laughed. It was an ugly sound, full of contempt. Death is not unnecessary. Death is purpose. Death is glory. His four eyes swept the room and stopped on the human auxiliaries standing near the wall. What are these small things? I have heard rumors about Deathworlders serving the consortium like pets. He walked toward them. Each step made the floor shake. Jamin stood perfectly still. Protocol required them to remain passive unless directly attacked. His hand wanted to reach for his weapon, but he forced it to stay at his side. Gorath stopped in front of Una. She was tiny compared to him. His shadow covered her completely. He leaned down, his nostril slits opening and closing as he smelled her. Small, he announced. Weak, your planet is strong, but you are nothing. He raised the Ravager's spine and pressed its edge against her throat. Not cutting, just touching, testing. Speak, Deathworlder. Beg for your life. Entertain me. Una did not move. 1 second passed. The blade pressed harder against her skin. A thin line of blood appeared. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. The Keth guard shifted nervously. This was not normal behavior for prey. Prey should cry. Prey should beg. Prey should try to run. 5 seconds. 7 seconds. Gorath's amusement began to fade. Something uncomfortable replaced it. He had faced warriors from 100 species. He had seen bravery and courage and defiance. But he had never seen anything like this. The human girl was not afraid. She was not even angry. She was just waiting, like a trap ready to spring. 10 seconds. 11 seconds. 12 seconds. I said speak, creature. Gorath's voice carried a new edge. Uncertainty. I command you to. 13 seconds. Una moved. Her hands came up faster than anyone could follow. She did not try to block the blade. She grabbed it. Her fingers wrapped around the flat of the Ravager's spine, and she twisted with her whole body. Metal screamed. Gorath felt the impossible happen. His legendary weapon, forged in fire, soaked in the blood of 10,000 warriors. Bent in the grip of a human girl, he pulled back instinctively, all four arms straining to keep control. It was not enough. Crack. The Ravager's spine broke in half. The sound echoed through the chamber like thunder. Pieces of the legendary blade fell to the floor. Gorath stumbled backward, staring at the broken handle in his hands. His four eyes were wide with shock. Una held the other half of the blade loosely at her side. Blood ran down her palms where the edge had cut her. She did not seem to notice. "You talk too much," she said quietly. The chamber exploded into chaos. Keth guards charged forward. Velith soldiers moved to intercept. Weapons were raised. For one terrible moment, war seemed certain. "Hold!" Gorth's command froze everyone in place. He stood among the broken pieces of his weapon, still staring at the human girl. "Everyone hold." His voice was different now. Quieter. Thoughtful. He looked at Yuna with new eyes. Not as prey. Not as an enemy. As something else entirely. "What is your name, Deathworlder?" "Yuna? Just Yuna?" "It is enough." Gorth was silent for a long moment. Then he did something no one expected. He laughed out not the cruel mockery from before. Something deeper. Something real. "You have given me a gift, little human." He picked up one half of the broken blade and examined it. "I have not been surprised in decades. I had forgotten what it felt like." He turned to Ambassador Doya. "We will negotiate. Properly this time. Perhaps there is value in words after all." The summit continued. But everything had changed, and across the galaxy, the story began to spread. A human girl had broken the Warlord's blade. With her bare hands. After 13 seconds of silence, the legend of the Deathworlder had begun. The negotiations lasted 3 days. Yuna was present for all of them. Gorth had demanded it. He said her presence made his advisors nervous, and nervous advisors made better deals. Ambassador Doya suspected there was more to it than that, but she did not argue. The broken Ravager's spine became the most talked about thing in the galaxy. Within hours of the incident, recordings spread across thousands of systems. News channels played the footage on repeat. A human girl, small and quiet, breaking a legendary weapon that had survived 10,000 battles. Species who had never heard of. Earth suddenly wanted to know everything about it. Scientists pulled up old files about the Death World. They read about the crushing gravity, the thick atmosphere, the endless predators. They learned about human history, full of wars and disasters and near extinctions. And they asked the same question everyone was asking. What else could humans do? Inside the negotiation chamber, Yuna stood against the wall and watched. She did not speak unless spoken to. She did not move unless necessary. But everyone knew she was there. Every Keth guard glanced at her nervously. Every Velith diplomat drew courage from her presence. The final agreement was better than anyone had hoped. The Velith Consortium kept control of the Helix Corridor. The Keth Dominion received limited trade access. No territory was lost. No resources were surrendered. It was not a perfect peace. But it was better than war. On the last night of the summit, Gorth found Yuna on the observation deck. The station hung in empty space, far from any star. The only light came from distant galaxies and the running lights of the docked ships. It was cold and dark and quiet. Yuna heard him coming. His footsteps were impossible to miss. She did not turn around. "You stand alone," Gorth said, stopping beside her. "Your companions celebrate in the dining hall. Why are you here?" "I do not feel like celebrating." He made a sound that might have been agreement. For a long moment, they stood in silence, watching the stars. "I have studied your species," Gorth finally said. "After our first meeting, I had my intelligence networks gather everything they could find about Earth and its people. What I learned was interesting." Yuna turned to look at him. "Your planet is a death world. The conditions there would kill most species in days. And yet humans did not just survive. You became the dominant species. You spread across your world and then reached for the stars." His 4 eyes studied her carefully. "You should not exist. Your biology makes no sense. Your psychology is chaos. And yet here you are." "Here I am," Yuna agreed. Gorth reached down and pulled something from his belt. It was the broken half of the Ravager's spine that he had kept. He turned it over in his massive hands. This weapon was forged 3,000 years ago. It was passed down through generations of warriors. It had never been damaged, never been broken. It represented the absolute power of the Keth Dominion. He looked at Yuna, and you snapped it in half with your bare hands. I cut my hands doing it. I noticed something like respect entered his voice. The blade wounded you, but you did not stop. You did not hesitate. Most warriors would have let go when they felt pain. You just kept squeezing. Yuna looked at her palms. The cuts had been treated by medical staff. They would heal into small scars. She did not mind. Pain is just information, she said. It tells you something is wrong, but it does not control you unless you let it. Gorath nodded slowly. The Keth believes something similar. Pain is weakness leaving the body. Fear is an enemy to be conquered. We are warriors born and bred. He paused. But I see now that humans are something different. You are not warriors by nature. You are survivors. And survivors are more dangerous than warriors. Why? Because warriors fight for honor and glory. They follow rules and codes. They can be predicted. Gorath's voice dropped lower. Survivors do whatever is necessary to live. They have no rules, no codes, no limits. They will do things that warriors cannot imagine. Yuna thought about this. She thought about Taiho, about the raiders, about the 6 enemies she had killed with her bare hands while her brother's blood was still warm. You are right, she said quietly. We do whatever is necessary. Gorath made a sound that might have been approval. Then he said something unexpected. The raiders who fly Keth colors. The ones who attack ships and sell prisoners to slavers. They are not truly mine. They are rogue clans, criminals. I allow them to exist because destroying them would cost more resources than they are worth. Yuna felt something cold move through her chest. Why are you telling me this? Because I had my intelligence networks look into your past as well. Gorath met her eyes without flinching. Your brother. The transport ship. The raiders who attacked you flew a specific flag. A specific clan. Her hands curled into fists. I cannot bring your brother back, Gorath continued. No power in the galaxy can do that. But I can give you something else. He pulled a data chip from his armor and held it out to her. The location of their fleet. Their patrol routes. Their base of operations. Everything you need to find them. Yuna stared at the chip. Her heart pounded in her chest. Everything she had trained for. Everything she had prepared for. It was right here. Why? She asked. Because you earned it. Gorath pressed the chip into her hand. In Keth culture, strength deserves respect. You showed strength that I have never seen before. Not just physical strength. The strength to stand still while death touched your throat. The strength to wait for the right moment and then act without hesitation. He stepped back. What you do with this information is your choice. But I think we both know what you will decide. Yuna looked at the chip in her hand. It was small and light. It weighed almost nothing, but it felt heavier than anything she had ever held. The debt is not between us, she said finally. You did not attack my ship. You did not kill my brother. No, but my empire allowed it to happen. In Keth law, that makes me responsible. Gorath turned and began walking toward the exit. Do what you must, human. Settle your debts. And when it is done, remember that the Keth Dominion will be watching. We may need someone like you again someday. He left without looking back. Yuna stood alone on the observation deck for a long time. The stars wheeled slowly above her. The data chip grew warm in her grip. She thought about Taiho, about his smile, about the way he used to laugh at her jokes, even when they were not funny, about his dream of becoming a teacher and helping children learn about the universe. She thought about the raiders, about the fear in their eyes when she had started killing them, about the cold satisfaction she had felt with each one that fell. She thought about the promise she had made to Ambassador Doya, to remember who she was, to be more than just a weapon. The chip in her hand could give her revenge. But would revenge give her peace? Yuna did not know. But she knew one thing for certain. She would not stop until she found out. She turned and walked toward the dining hall where her companions were celebrating. Tomorrow, she would talk to Yemen. Tomorrow, she would make plans. But tonight, she would allow herself one moment of hope. Maybe, after everything was done, she would finally be able to rest. 6 months passed. Yuna used every one of them to prepare. She studied the data Gorath had given her until she knew the Raider fleet better than its own commanders. She trained harder than ever before. She gathered allies who believed in her cause. Ambassador Doya helped secure official permission for the mission. The Raiders were criminals operating outside galactic law. Destroying them was not revenge. It was peacekeeping. At least, that was what the official documents said. The strike force assembled in orbit around an empty moon far from any trade routes. 1 consortium attack ship, 3 support vessels, 60 soldiers from various species, and 20 human auxiliaries led by Yemen. Yuna stood on the bridge as they prepared to jump into hyperspace. Her face was calm. Her eyes were focused. Whatever doubts she had felt on the observation deck 6 months ago were gone now. She had made her choice. Yemen walked up beside her. "How are you feeling?" "Ready." He nodded slowly. "I talked to the other humans. They know why we are really here. They all volunteered to come anyway." Yuna looked at him. "Why?" "Because you are one of us. Because your brother was one of us." Yemen put his hand on her shoulder. "Because what happened to your family could have happened to any of ours. If we do not stop these raiders, they will keep hurting people. They will keep destroying lives. This is not just about justice." "No," Yemen agreed. "But justice is part of it. And that is enough." The jump to hyperspace was smooth. The counter system was 3 hours away. 3 hours until Yuna faced the people who had taken everything from her. She spent the time alone in the cargo bay, checking her equipment. A standard combat suit, a pulse rifle, a combat knife. Nothing special, nothing legendary. Just the tools of a soldier. Taiho would have hated all of this. He had always believed in peace, in teaching, in building things instead of destroying them. He would have looked at her now and felt sad, but Taiho was dead, and the people who killed him were alive. That was an imbalance Yuna intended to correct. The ship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the counter system. Immediately, alarms started blaring. "Contact!" The sensor officer shouted. 12 hostile vessels. Multiple classes. They are scrambling to respond. The Raider fleet was exactly where Gorath's data said it would be. 12 ships gathered around the converted cargo hauler that served as their base. Hundreds of raiders. Enough firepower to threaten small colonies. Not enough to stop what was coming. "Open fleet channel," Yuna said. The communications officer hesitated for just a moment, then obeyed. Yuna's voice carried across the void of space, reaching every ship in the system. "This is Yuna of the Veloth Auxiliary Corps. You attacked my transport in the Helix Nebula 3 years ago. You killed my brother. You have killed countless others. Stolen lives. Destroyed families." She paused, remembering the observation deck. The 13 seconds of silence before she broke Gorath's blade. 13 seconds, she continued. That is how long I waited before I broke the Warlord's weapon. Today, I am not waiting at all. The battle began. The consortium ships hit the raider fleet hard and fast. Energy beams cut through shields. Missiles found their targets. Within minutes, 3 raider vessels were burning. The boarding actions came next. Human auxiliaries led the way, their combat suits protecting them from the chaos of ship-to-ship fighting. They moved through enemy corridors like ghosts, fast and deadly and impossible to stop. Yuna was at the front of every assault. She fought with a cold efficiency that terrified even her allies. Raiders fell before her like grass before a scythe. She did not taunt them. She did not hesitate. She simply moved from one enemy to the next, doing what needed to be done. Yemen fought beside her through 3 ships. He watched her kick down doors and clear rooms full of armed enemies. He watched her take wounds that would have stopped other soldiers and keep fighting like nothing had happened. "Yuna," he called during a brief pause between assaults. "Are you okay?" She looked at him. Her eyes were distant, focused on something he could not see. "I am finishing what they started." By the end of the 3rd hour, 11 raider ships had been disabled or destroyed. Their crews were dead, captured, or running for escape pods. The raider threat in the Helix sector was effectively ended. The one ship remained, the flagship, the converted cargo hauler that served as the fleet's base. Sensors showed it trying to spin up its hyperspace drive. It was trying to run. "Target their engines," the consortium captain ordered. "Disable them." "No." Yuna's voice was quiet but firm. "I am going aboard." "Alone?" "That is suicide. It is necessary." She was already moving toward the shuttle bay. "Disable their engines. I will handle the rest." The shuttle crossed the gap between ships in minutes. Yuna breached the flagship's hull through a maintenance hatch and began making her way toward the bridge. The corridors were in chaos. Crew members ran in every direction, some fighting, some fleeing. Yuna ignored them all. She had one target. She found him in the command center. The raider captain was a scarred Gorvan named Rix. He had grown fat on the profits of selling humans and other species to the highest bidder. His ship's registration was burned into Yuna's memory. It had been on the report from the day her transport was attacked. He was standing at the main console, desperately trying to activate the self-destruct sequence. When he saw Yuna enter, he raised a plasma pistol with shaking hands. "Stay back." His voice cracked with fear. "Stay back, you demon." Yuna walked toward him slowly. Each step was deliberate. Each step was 3 years of grief and rage compressed into motion. "I remember your ship's registration," she said. "I remember the flag you flew. You commanded the raiders who hit my transport. You gave the order that killed my brother. It was not personal." Rick squeezed the trigger. The plasma bolt hit Yuna's shoulder, burning through her suit and into her flesh. She did not even slow down. "Just business. We take what we can sell. That is all. My brother was 19 years old." Yuna reached him. Her hand shot out and grabbed his wrist, twisting until he dropped the pistol. "He wanted to be a teacher. He threw himself in front of me when your men started shooting. He died in my arms." "Please," Rix was crying now. "Please, I will give you anything. Credits. Information. Anything." Yuna grabbed him by the throat and lifted. He was twice her size, but in that moment, strength did not matter. Will did. And her will was iron. He said one word before he died. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Run." He spent his last breath telling me to run because he knew I had a chance to survive. Rix's legs kicked uselessly in the air. I ran. And I survived. And I spent every single day since then becoming something that would never have to run again. She held him there, watching the terror in his eyes. This was the moment she had imagined for 3 years. The moment of revenge. The moment when the scales would finally balance. She could feel his pulse weakening under her fingers. A few more seconds and it would be over. But something stopped her. Not mercy. Not weakness. Something else. Taiho's voice, soft and gentle, echoing in her memory. Revenge is just grief wearing armor. She dropped Rix. He crumpled to the floor, gasping and choking. His eyes were wild with confusion. He had expected death. He did not understand why he was still alive. "You do not deserve a quick death," Yuna said. Her voice was flat and cold. "You will stand trial. Every family you destroyed will see you face justice. Every life you ruined will have a voice. And you will spend the rest of your life remembering that a human girl could have killed you and chose not to." She turned and walked away. The trials were broadcast across consortium space. Rix and his surviving crew were convicted on thousands of counts. Their sentences would last longer than their natural lifespans. Yuna became a legend. The silent Deathworlder, they called her. The girl who broke the Warlord's blade. The woman who destroyed a raider fleet. Her story spread across 100 systems. But Yuna did not care about legends. On the anniversary of Taiho's death, she returned to the human quarter on the Voleth homeworld. She sat by the reflecting pools, just as she had years ago, when everything hurt too much to bear. Jaemin found her there, as he always did. "How are you feeling?" he asked, sitting beside her. "Better." She was quiet for a moment, watching the water ripple in the alien breeze. "I used to think silence was strength. That if I did not speak, did not feel, I could control everything. And now?" She looked at him. For the first time since he had known her, something soft lived in her eyes. "Now I think strength is choosing when to be silent and when to speak. When to fight and when to show mercy." She exhaled slowly. "Taiho would have hated what I almost became. He always said revenge was just grief wearing armor." Yemin smiled. "He sounds like he was smart." He was. Her voice caught slightly. He really was. They sat together as the alien sun set, painting the crystal towers in gold and purple dot, and for the first time in years, Yuna felt something like peace. The galaxy learned many things about humanity in the years that followed. That they were strong. That they were dangerous. That they were unpredictable. But the most important lesson was simpler than all of that. Humans did not survive because they were the strongest or the fastest, or the most advanced. They survived because when the silence stretched to 13 seconds and the blade pressed against their throat, they chose to snap it in half, and when the moment of revenge finally came, they chose to be more.